The weight of secrets. After 3 years of working overseas, Marcus finally boards the metro that will take him to his family's neighborhood. His wife Sarah and 6-year-old son Jake had insisted on meeting him at the airport, despite the late hour. Now, as the train rocks gently through the city, exhaustion overtakes them all. Sarah's head finds its familiar place on his shoulder, while Jake curls up between them, clutching the small toy plane Marcus brought him from his travels. But as Marcus watches the familiar stations pass by, he realizes he's carrying a secret that will change everything. The overseas job that kept him away wasn't what his family believed it to be. Tomorrow morning, he'll have to tell them the truth about why he really left, and why the men in dark suits have been asking questions about him around the neighborhood. Tonight, though, in this quiet moment between stations, he allows himself to pretend that this warm weight against his shoulders is all he'll ever need, and that some secrets can stay buried forever. The yellow arrow above the train window catches Marcus's attention, a maintenance sticker he'd never noticed in all his years riding this line. Everything looks different now, sharper somehow, as if his 3 years away have given him new eyes for details that once blurred into background noise. Sarah shifts against him, her blonde hair tickling his neck. Even in sleep, her hand rests protectively over Jake's small shoulder. Marcus studies her face in the fluorescent light, the same delicate features he'd fallen in love with 8 years ago, but there are new lines around her eyes. Worry lines, he realizes with a stab of guilt. Lines he'd put there. The phone calls had grown shorter over the months. Video chats became awkward, stilted affairs where Jake would grow restless and wander off, leaving Sarah to fill the silence with neighborhood gossip and weather reports. Marcus had told himself it was the time difference, the demanding work schedule, anything but the truth, that every conversation felt like walking through a minefield of lies. "Daddy," Jake mumbles in his sleep, his small fingers tightening around the toy plane. "You're really home." "I'm really home, buddy," Marcus whispers, though the words taste like ash. 3 stations left. Marcus's chest tightens as he recognizes the approaching tunnel where the train always slows. In 18 minutes, they'll be at Maple Street Station. Sarah will wake up, gather Jake in her arms with that maternal efficiency he'd missed so desperately. They'll walk the familiar 4 blocks home, past Mrs. Chen's garden that she obsesses over, past the corner market where Jake always begs for candy. And then they'll be in their house, with its blue shutters and the broken step he'd promised to fix before he left. Sarah will make tea, the way she always does when she's nervous or excited. Jake will drag him upstairs to see how much his room has changed, how many Legos he's collected, how tall he's grown. Normal family things. The life Marcus had told himself he was protecting. The train lurches slightly as it rounds a curve, and Sarah's eyes flutter open. For a moment, she looks confused, displaced. Then her gaze finds his face and she smiles, that same radiant smile that had convinced him 3 years ago that some sacrifices were worth making. "Almost home?" she asks. Almost. She doesn't know that 6 months ago, Marcus had testified before a closed congressional committee. She doesn't know about the forged documents he'd discovered in Damascus, or the defense contracts that led all the way back to Washington. She doesn't know that what she believed was software consulting for overseas infrastructure projects had actually been deep cover intelligence work for a joint task force investigating arms trafficking. She doesn't know that the men in dark suits weren't just asking questions, they were watching. Waiting. "I missed this," Sarah says softly, her hand finding his. "I missed us." Marcus's throat constricts. He'd practiced this conversation 1,000 times during sleepless nights in safe houses and hotel rooms. But sitting here now, with his family warm against him and the city lights blurring past the window, all his rehearsed explanations feel hollow and inadequate. The truth is that Marcus had volunteered for the assignment. When Agent Victoria Chen, no relation to their neighbor, had approached him at a cybersecurity conference in D.C., when she'd shown him the evidence of weapons being sold to groups that ended up targeting American soldiers, when she'd asked if he was willing to help his country, he'd said yes without thinking of the cost. He'd said yes because he was Marcus Sullivan, suburban dad and software engineer, and he thought he could compartmentalize his life like lines of code. 3 years overseas, help stop the bad guys, come home to his family with a story about boring infrastructure projects and a healthy bank account courtesy of his government salary. He hadn't counted on how secrets eat at you from the inside. "How every, I love you," Sarah whispered over static-filled phone calls felt like another small betrayal. How Jake's questions about why Daddy couldn't come home for Christmas, for his birthday, for the school play where he'd played a tree, had nearly broken him each time. Maple Street Station. Next stop, the automated voice announces. Sarah sits up, gently shaking Jake awake. Come on, sleepyhead. We're home. Jake stretches, his boy's body unfolding from its cramped position. He looks up at Marcus with eyes that are Sarah's eyes, bright with excitement and trust. Dad, can we have pancakes tomorrow? Mom said maybe we could have pancakes if you were home. Of course we can have pancakes, Marcus says, his voice steadier than he feels. As the train begins to slow, Marcus catches his reflection in the window, a stranger's face, weathered by 3 years of living lies. Tomorrow, he'll tell them everything. Tomorrow, he'll explain about the witness protection protocols already in place, about the new identities waiting in a manila envelope in his hotel room downtown. Tomorrow, he'll have to watch his son's excitement crumble as he learns they'll have to leave the only home he's ever known. But tonight, as they gather their things and prepare to step off the train, Marcus allows himself to believe in the fiction a little longer. Tonight, he's just a father coming home to his family. Tonight, the weight on his shoulders is love, not secrets. The doors slide open with a soft hiss, and the Sullivan family steps into the familiar station, their footsteps echoing in the tiled corridor that leads toward home. Above them, the yellow arrow on the maintenance sticker seems to point the way forward, toward whatever truth awaits them in the morning light.